The United States will be rolling out the red carpet for Prime Minister Modi, who will be meeting with President Trump at the White House. The two leaders are expected to cap their meeting with a working dinner, making Modi the first ever visiting head of state to be given this treatment since he took office in January 2017. Trump has hosted dinners for Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the Mar-a-Lago golf estate in Florida, but this is the first such dinner at the White House. You can see the tone set for his earlier meetings with his foreign leaders. In February, when he was president-elect, he entertained the Japanese Prime Minister at his resort in Palm Beach at Florida and treated him to a game of golf. He did the same with the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping during his U.S. trip, hosting him in Florida in April. In the case of Angela Merkel, the meeting was at the Oval Office in the White House. It remains to be seen how the talks and dinner would go together at the White House. Well, Trump's ludicrous handshakes have become a worldwide controversy. This video collection of Trump's handshakes will force you to have a laugh and will also make you wonder why Trump does such preposterous things. The handshakes are certainly not an accident. It is Trump's way to attract cameras and shows his sense of superiority. Trump never misses an opportunity to assert dominance and uses handshake as a tactic to show who's the boss. Will Modi be intimidated by Trump's handshake tactics? Well, that's the big question.
PM Modi likes his hugs and long walks. Trump has become infamous for alpha male handshakes. The anticipation builds over the first handshake between President Trump and PM Modi. NewsX examines both for the viewers. First, let's take a closer look at this meeting of Trump and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Even the paparazzi heard Merkel saying that it's time to shake hands. Trump simply looks away with awkwardness. On the other hand, the statesman Narendra Modi is famous for his bear hugs. The bonhomie he shares with the world leaders comes across from the warmth in the hugs or the handshakes. The long walks, the comfort and the comradeship is discernible. Now, a funny but quite assertive nudge from Trump. At the NATO summit, Trump pushes Montenegro president aside, fixes his coat and wags his finger, showing off that it is he who holds the most dominant office of the world and it is he who deserves to stand in front. On the other hand, Modi and Japanese PM Shinzo Abe are quite comfortable walking beside each other, and their handshake solidifies the trust they put in each other. Even with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, PM Modi quite comfortably takes the long walk and cements a long-lasting relationship. Finally, a handshake which this newly appointed SC judge will never forget. Trump literally shook him from his feet. Smiles, hugs and long walks. This is what the world will focus on when two leaders of the largest democracies meet. PM Modi will shake up Donald, or will it be Donald's another tryst with awkwardness? Bureau Report, NewsX.
Something that should not be important at all, but has become important under the Narendra Modi visit to Donald Trump is, of course, this. Ritangshu, explain why.
Well, indeed, it's being touted as the battle between the hug and the handshake. Why? Because Donald Trump is infamous for his forced handshakes here, which have often been equated to just trying to pull someone else on a leash. While Narendra Modi obviously is also noted for his full-bodied, warm hugs which he gives his leaders. It's a difference
in approaches and personalities. So Narendra Modi trying to be the statesman there. He likes his long walks. He does those statesman-like poses with Obama. We've seen it with Merkel. Donald Trump likes it a bit different. Now have a look at this. What we've seen with Donald Trump, who likes his handshakes, and of course with Narendra Modi, the same man, the French president, two different approaches to meet and greet him, Ritangshu.
Well, indeed, it's the handshake versus the statesman. Essentially, as you pointed out, Modi applies a more statesman-like approach when he wants to show to the world that he has a personal equation with the people he's meeting.
This is with Obama, of course. There we go. Yes. There comes a hug, and of course, Donald Trump likes his handshake. But there's a lot of psychology at play for Donald Trump, which is why it's become important. This has become important to them.
Absolutely, he uses his handshakes essentially to send a message that he actually, in a way, wants to own this person, or at least own this political space around the two chairs, and that is why his handshakes have gained an infamy.
Well, and some of them, like you said, have become infamous. Beginning with, and let's pull out. This is what happened with Angela Merkel. She is, of course, the German Chancellor. This is the White House. Donald Trump is sitting with Angela Merkel. At a point of time, she says, "I think they want us to shake hands." Trump looks away, Ritanshu.
Absolutely, and it's loud enough to be heard by the cameras, but not enough to be heard by Mr. Trump.
Just look at this. Just look at his face, and then look at her expression. Just look at her expression.
And look at the body language. She's leaning towards Trump in an effort to clearly engage with Trump, and Trump almost parallelly moves away.
Just look at her face. This face tells 1,000 stories right there, Ritanshu. Now, of course, this is the Donald approach. Narendra Modi approach, a bit different. The same person meets Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, and look what was happening when they were meeting in Berlin. This was also just a few weeks ago. Have a look at Narendra Modi meeting with Angela Merkel. Completely different approach. This is completely different, Ritanshu.
Indeed. Now, I can assume that Ms. Merkel has a much more easier time meeting at Narendra Modi because it's a much more comfortable, a genial atmosphere.
And this is the statesmanship, right?
Absolutely.
Like it or not, she is one of Europe's most powerful leaders, leads the major economy in Europe. And Narendra Modi, well, he is one of the upcoming statesmen and on the world diplomatic stage as well.
Well, both Modi and Trump have had their own individual styles of greeting foreign dignitaries, but it's clear which one is a lot more warm and which one is a lot more pleasant for the person who's actually meeting them.
Well, Prime Minister Modi has written an op-ed, meanwhile, in the Wall Street Journal ahead of his meet with the US President. Prime Minister Modi is saying India and the United States are mutually reinforcing engines of growth and innovation. Meanwhile, in his customary address to the United States Indian diaspora, Prime Minister Narendra Modi pulled no punches in reminding Pakistan of its unenviable presence as the mothership of terror in the world. Invoking India's surgical strike against Pak, Modi pointed out that not a single nation in the world questioned India's moves and hailed it as a demonstration that India, which normally follows restraint, can also defend its sovereignty and ensure its security. Prime Minister's stern words towards Pak setting the tone for his much-awaited bilateral meeting with the US President Donald Trump later today, in which terror is expected to feature very high on the agenda.
विश्व के कई देश जब भारत आतंकवाद की बात बताता था आज से 20-25 साल पहले उनके गले नहीं उतरता था। विश्व के लोगों को लगता है ये तो आपका लॉ एंड ऑर्डर प्रॉब्लम है। जब हिंदुस्तान सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक करता है तब दुनिया को ताकत का अनुभव होता है कि भारत संयम रखता है, लेकिन जरूरत पड़े तो भारत अपने सामर्थ्य का परिचय भी देता है। सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक एक ऐसी घटना थी, अगर दुनिया चाहती तो भारत के बाल नोच लेती, हमें कटघरे में खड़ी कर देती। विश्व हमारा जवाब मांगता, दुनिया में हमारी आलोचना होती, लेकिन पहली बार आप सबने अनुभव किया होगा भारत के सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के इतने बड़े कदम को विश्व में से किसी ने भी एक सवाल नहीं उठाया।
We don't know if India is going to be rehyphenated yet. I think there are too many interests in, for example, the Indo-Pacific region. I think a lot will depend, though, on what happens with the Afghanistan policy review. New administrations, when they come in, have rehyphenated for a small period and then not done so in the future. But I think the India relationship with the US is now at a point where there's so many other things going on that it's impossible to put it just back in the India-Pakistan box.
Very clear message was sent that India has borne terrorism for a very, very long time, wholly solely on its own. Our patience had come to an end, and we carried out a surgical strike to teach Pakistan a lesson. Any such surgical strike ever before, whether it was carried out by the Israelis or by the Americans, etc., always met with international condemnation. This was the first case that no country, including Pakistan's all-weather friend China, condemned this.
About
the climate declaration, about the H-1B visa. There are many, many issues which is affecting India's interests, and about terrorism. We are the worst sufferers of the terrorism from a neighbor. Whether America will be ready to name the terrorist of Pakistan, and the terrorist state of Pakistan is engaged in a war with India. Will US come to decry this?
Indeed, there was much applause and cheering when Mr. Narendra Modi made those comments regarding the surgical strikes carried out by India last year in the wake of the horrific Uri attacks. The Prime Minister really trying to drive home the point that today India finds itself much more stronger on the global stage, which is why on earlier, in fact, occasions had India conducted such a move, what he claimed was that the country would have been ripped off, especially by the Western pontificating nations. But unlike in the past, he also added to his claims that this time around there was not a single country that questioned India's moves except for the one country that would have faced the brunt of it, referring to Pakistan without naming it. This does become important for him to be leveraging the diaspora strength and sending out the message to White House, to Capitol, to the Oval Office, just a couple of hours ahead of that meeting with Donald Trump.
I'm very sorry that our Prime Minister is so ignorant that he doesn't know so many surgical strikes have taken place before him when he was not a Prime Minister of India. But the difference is only the Congress government and the other governments would not give any publicity to such things. These were left to the army only. This is not the first one. They were first from number of times. The only Prime Minister does not have anything to offer to the people of a country, so he will, whatever small thing will happen, he will blow it out of proportion, because he doesn't have to offer. He has not done anything in 3 years.
Prime Minister